these kind of people, because they cannot attack your argument, they will attack you. Hello everyone. Do you know something? The Bible calls every Christian to be an apologist. We always need to be ready to give a defense for the hope that is in us. Apologetics is not just needed for the people who are outside the church. Apologetics is needed for the professing Christians who have been falsely converted and who are in false churches calling themselves Christians. I was once a professing Christian. I was calling myself a Christian, but I did not know that being a true Christian is something else. Being born again is something else. And unless you know the markers, you see the markers for yourself and experience how a truly transformed life will be, you will not be able to tell the difference between a true Christian and a false Christian. So here are a few things we need to remember when we are engaging in a healthy debate or an argument with your friends, relatives, or anybody else who are caught up in the NAR, Neo-Pentecostal, hyper-charismatic circles. Number one, do your homework. Make sure that you know the subject that you're talking about. For example, if you're talking about false prophets and false apostles and how the case can be built according to the Bible based on the scriptures which are given in the Bible, first read it for yourself, try to research, try to gather as much information as possible, look for good Bible teachers who will help you explain and understand the position that we are in, and pray, because God the Holy Spirit, unless He enlightens our mind and helps us to understand what we are truly reading, we will never be able to understand and come to a conclusion on matters like these, because there is so much of confusion in the world. So do your homework. Do your homework. Know your subject really well, so that anybody at any point of time would bring up any objection in the argument or in your debate, you should not have a doubt in your mind that, is what I'm believing the right thing? Never. Never get into a subject where you are doubtful about it, unless God has given you personally, through the word, a closure on the subject. Do not get into it. For example, when I was doing the episode on the gift of tongues, I really had confusion in my mind, because I also was somebody who went to Assemblies of God and other denominations and said that, oh Lord, like youth camps and stuff, oh Lord, these people are saying that we can speak in so many different tongues and whatever, and they are saying some words like ba ba ba, da da da, or something like that. Should I say that? Or is this how you work? Or is this, being filled by the Holy Spirit called? And I had so much of confusion. So what did I do? God helped me. He opened my eyes. He led me to the kind of material. He led me to His Word. Through His Word, He helped me understand and come to a conclusion. And that is when I made a case on the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So, number one, do your homework. Without knowing your subject, do not get into it. Zeal is good, but zeal without knowledge, you're making a fool out of yourself. So don't do that. Number two, don't lose your cool. You see, when we are trying to argue, we need to remember that our argument and our debate is to bring a conclusion, a closure, not to show that I'm right and you are wrong. If you are somebody who does not have any control over your emotions, apologetics is not for you. If you are somebody who can control your anger, your rage, your tongue, then definitely God will help you. Of course, we are human beings, we feel offended. But when we remember what we are standing for, God will definitely help us. So the second point, don't lose your cool, because there will be people who will provoke us to lose our cool. Like, number one, these kind of people, because they cannot attack your argument, they will attack you. It's a logical fallacy, and this is what it is called. Because they cannot argue with you, counter argue with you, They're going to call you names. They're going to call you a fool. They're going to call you many different things. But remember, that's not our goal. Do not respond. Do not lose your cool. Number 2, there will be another kind of people who will just make generic statements because they cannot give a proper reason. Okay, this is good, but can you give me an example? No, they cannot. So what they will do is just make generic statements, like our false prophets who make generic prophecies. Yes. And the third kind of people are people who put words in your mouth. So you need to be very careful. We need to be very vigilant and ask God to give us wisdom, especially when we are trying to present a case, when we are trying to make an argument, when we are trying to speak to our friends, our relatives. Remember, we need to identify whether that person is putting words in our mouth, meaning they will try to establish and say things that we did not say. So we need to be vigilant and watch out for that. Number 1, do your homework. Number 2, don't lose your cool. So there are 3 kinds of people who attack you personally, who make generic statements, and who put words in your mouth. Point number 3, you need to be able to deliver your position with confidence and God's help. Now, anytime if you have a doubt about the subject that you are talking about, like I told you initially, it's better to first study it for yourself. Because if God has not given you a closure through His word, through His servants, through the sermons and the material that you've listened to, do not attempt to get into it. Because if there are doubts in your own mind, it is never safe to mislead other people. It is never safe to talk about a subject that we are not confident about. So, number 3, deliver your position with confidence. Do not doubt. And the 4th one, and the last one, don't give up. Don't give up, dear Christian. If you're talking to your friends, your family about, false speaking in tongues, about false prophets, about false miracles, healings, so much around, pointing out false teachers, telling them, don't listen to this guy, don't listen to this lady. And there is so much of personal, emotional, and a lot of trauma which is around it. But don't give up, because we love them. We do this because we love them. And once they come to the true saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, they will understand it. Don't give up. Don't give up praying for them. This is one thing that I've learned from the time we started this channel. We always pray before posting a video, because we are concerned for the people who watch our videos and we want God to speak to their hearts. So remember, don't give up.